We are being compensated by Sanofi to share our story. My name is Amanda, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a mom to two children, William and Jenna. Our son, William, is an avid track and cross-country athlete.
I found running my freshman year. Just started out going with a couple friends that I met through the neighborhood. We just moved here, and I was like, I gotta find a pathway to find some friends. And so I built a really tight friend group through running. Now I'm starting to chase the goals of getting faster times and working down in time to see how far I can take my running career.
Our family has no history of type 1 diabetes. That all changed in September of 2020 when our daughter Jenna, at 11 years old, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. We were completely shocked. She was in full DKA in the hospital for 5 days, was incredibly sick. I learned a lot about type 1 diabetes as my daughter was diagnosed, and one of the things that I learned was that other family members are up to 15 times more likely to have type 1 diabetes when there is a direct relative. So that was very critical to me to learn more about screening and if my husband, myself, or my son might also have those autoantibodies. So from the screening, we learned that our son, William, had multiple autoantibodies that indicated type 1 diabetes, and we also learned that he had abnormal blood glucose levels, also known as dysglycemia. When we received news that William had stage 2 of type 1 diabetes, we were devastated. We were still in the midst of learning about our daughter's diagnosis. We were adjusting her numbers, going through all the things involved in a new diagnosis of type 1. We were mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. We were concerned for her future and how her current childhood would look for her. So to learn that our son also would be facing a similar path was not the news that we had hoped for. With diabetes, often we wake up in the middle of the night to manage a high or a low, and I thought to myself fairly soon, I'm gonna wonder, is this my daughter or is this my son? What if it's both of them at the same time? How are we gonna manage that? As soon as I heard about Tzield, I was very excited to talk to William's doctor. I had a lot of questions about side effects, but I really wanted to learn more. His doctor explained that the most common side effects were rash, leukopenia, which is a decrease in white blood cell count, and headache. I also learned that Tzield may cause serious side effects, including cytokine release syndrome and lymphopenia, which is a decrease in white blood cells. Our Compass Navigator was great. Often, I confess, I would call him nearly every day, and he was always happy to receive my calls, listen, and answer any questions we had. The actual infusion process was a very careful and thought out procedure. We received pre-medications, they did lab work, and they were closely monitoring William at all times, before, during, and after his treatments. The first week of William's infusions, we were there for 4 or 5 hours. The second week was much quicker, 2.5 hours at most. While William was being treated, I passed my time by talking with nurses and staff, and I did some work on my laptop as well, and we just had a good time enjoying each other's company. It was nice mother-son time. Tzield was definitely the right choice for William and for our family because we have lived with one child already who's been diagnosed with stage 3 of type 1 diabetes. Her constant glucose monitoring and life managing highs and lows is exceedingly difficult and relentless. For our son to be able to avoid any portion of time living with stage 3 of type 1 diabetes is wonderful.
If I was able to go back in time and tell myself one thing, I wouldn't change a thing.
It has been 1 year since William's treatment with Tzield. When I think about the hours, months, and so much countless time that our daughter has spent managing her stage 3 type 1 diabetes, that William has been able to delay that portion of his life has been so worth it. My advice to families living with T1D is to be bold and to be brave. Ask your questions, do your research, find out, get screened. Use that information and consider all of your options.
What is Tzield? Tzield is a prescription medicine used to delay the onset of stage 3 type 1 diabetes, which is when your body can't make enough insulin on its own and may require insulin injections. Tzield is for adults and children 8 years of age and older who have stage 2 type 1 diabetes. This means that they have tested positive for 2 or more type 1 diabetes-related autoantibodies, have abnormal blood sugar levels, and do not have type 2 diabetes. It is not known if Tzield is safe and effective in children under 8 years of age. Important safety information. What is the most important information I should know about Tzield? Tzield may cause serious side effects. These include cytokine release syndrome, CRS. Signs and symptoms may start during the first 5 days of Tzield treatment and could include fever, nausea, feeling tired, fatigue, headache, muscle and joint pain, or increased liver enzymes in your blood. Tell your healthcare provider right away if you develop any signs and symptoms of CRS during treatment with Tzield. Decrease in white blood cells. Tzield may cause a decrease in a type of white blood cell called lymphocytes. A decrease in white blood cells is a serious but common side effect that can affect your body's ability to fight infections. A decrease in white blood cell counts can happen after your first dose. Your white blood cell counts will start to go back to normal after your 5th dose of Tzield. Some people may develop longer and more severe decreases in lymphocytes. Your healthcare provider will do blood tests to check your liver and your complete blood counts before you start treatment and during treatment with Tzield. During and after your treatment with Tzield, your healthcare provider will check for serious side effects as well as other side effects and treat you as needed. Your healthcare provider may temporarily or completely stop your treatment with Tzield if you develop liver problems, have a serious infection, or if your blood counts stay too low. What should I tell my healthcare provider before receiving Tzield? Before or after receiving Tzield, tell your healthcare provider about all your medical conditions, including if you have a serious infection or an infection that does not go away or keeps coming back, have recently received or are scheduled to receive an immunization, vaccine. Tzield may affect how well a vaccine works. Tell your doctor that you are receiving Tzield before receiving a vaccine. Are pregnant or plan to become pregnant. Tzield may harm your unborn baby. Do not receive Tzield during pregnancy and at least 30 days before a planned pregnancy. Are breastfeeding or plan to breastfeed. It is not known if Tzield passes into your breast milk and if it can harm your baby. Talk to your healthcare provider about the best way to feed your baby if you receive Tzield. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines you take, including prescription and over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, and herbal supplements. What are the possible side effects of Tzield? The most common side effects of Tzield include rash, leukopenia, decrease in white blood cell counts, headache. These are not all of the possible side effects of Tzield. Talk to your healthcare provider for more information and tell them about any side effects you notice. You may report side effects to the FDA at www.fda.gov/medwatch or 1-800-FDA-1088. Please see accompanying medication guide and prescribing information. To learn more, visit www.tzield.com.